how do you judge that with one?
Well, if they're up early and they're up late, like myself, they have to really spread my meals out. So if they know they can only get 4 meals a day, they're going to be spreading out pretty far. If they're one that gets up at 6 and they're going to bed by 6, I don't really push it as much. If they're like an endomorph, I try to tell them or suggest spread out meals longer. That way you can get more digestibility, support like that. But it really depends on their lifestyle. That's how long they're up, how rigid their day is. If they're in a scheduled day or they have meetings all day, I always try to suggest make sure you get something in before your meeting, especially if it's during the time that you're supposed to eat. You don't want to be in the meeting really mad that you have to go eat. You can't. You're just focused on food. So trying to relieve the idea of I'm missing my meal time or my meal. I need to get away. It's the end of the world. I used to think that.
Yeah,
and it's horrible.
That's stressful for you.
It's very stressful. So I'm just trying to let it go, and then you're gonna just make it work.
And before the intermittent fasting craze came out, I stumbled across this by accident a couple times when I was actually studying for a contest. I was in those situations. I remember car shopping one time, and I could not eat for 5 hours, and I was ready to die. I thought I was going to pass out. Like I'm losing all my muscle.
Yeah.
And then, the next day I'm like down on the scale. I'm tired. I'm like, wow, even though I got all my calories in, maybe there's something to having that extra amount of time to actually dig deeper into body fat stores. So this is where, Paul, I would see, if you do anything differently, this is where I think it helps as coaches to help clients with some meal planning to say, well, that's okay. And if you're going to wake up early, you're going to be up late, maybe your lunch, you need to have just a fibrous carb and protein source, and that's at the time where you're kind of saving some carbs for later. So if you help your clients strategize with meal planning their day, even though you're still going to allow them flexibility, I think it really does help them, gives them some confidence.
I fully provide them with a layout, blueprint, if you will, for the day, based on when they wake up, when they train, how they should space their meals. I'm a firm believer in the ideal of taking in a large amount of protein, spiking protein synthesis, then the refractory period. So that's where I like that 3 to 6 hour window where you can get comfortable going, okay, it's been 5 hours. I still got another hour before I'm potentially going to be having a problem, right? That lowers your stress about the situation. A lot of it can come down to how much protein a person's taking in. Sometimes simply 3 meals is not enough to get in 250 grams of protein. So for someone like us, 4 to 5 meals might be a requirement, even if one of those is just a shake, just to get that in. That's one nice thing about the post-workout shake is that you're getting in that protein, but you're going to be hungry again in an hour. Then you can have your full meal and not risk missing out on getting enough protein in for the day. So I do believe in providing that structure throughout the day, making sure that they understand, but then not stressing them out that they have to eat every 2, 3, or 4 hours.
One thing that helps me personally and clients is if you're busy all day during work, you don't want to pay attention to food as much. Typically, there isn't food around. So I take advantage of not having as many carbs or fats around that time because when you get home, we're going to be sitting at home and we're going to get done with the workout and hungry. So I always prioritize, I give that percentage of 30% carbs free. But make sure they have a good hour or two before they eat or before they train. That way it's digested. They're not like eating it while they're walking to the gym. And then post-workout, just go home. But when I'm at home, I shut off and I start to relax. And I know that if I get too relaxed, I can at least have a good amount of meal or a good amount of food to feel satiated, feel like I'm not just dying. So it helps me to get distracted.
Nothing helps dieting better than a busy mind.
Yeah, so when I first dieted for my initial contest when I was 20 years old and upward, it was very in vogue just to have a cheat meal once a week. Right. So you're working your ass off all week, and then you have that cheat meal time, and it was just a free-for-all, man. I mean, it was like, how much can I pack in this one meal, and then you're back to work for the week. And, of course, my mind saw some flaws in that early, because you can make one meal last 6 hours if you want. So I wanted to put some boundaries on that. And so I started creating higher calorie days, a little bit more fat just to make up for what may be in those carbs. I really wanted a carb spike. that I was looking for, whether it was supported by science or not. That was the theory. Giving them a social break. This is your chance, just like the cheat meal philosophy, just to at least have something to fill up and get you through the next week. So things are changing. There's some more research out there. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about diet breaks and calorie increases.
Yeah, I think this is probably, in my opinion, as a coach, something that I was fortunate enough to be associated with very smart people like yourself and Eric Helms, who were kind of on the forefront of doing some of this stuff. So I've been doing it for a few years. But the idea that it's not a linear fat loss diet. It's not always going to be going down, down, down. We're not always in a caloric deficit. The idea of, either a single day refeed approach, multiple day refeed approach, or a diet break can have a positive impact on adherence, on success, and on body composition, psychology, so many things that go into a fat loss phase. So yeah, this is something that I've definitely started planning throughout the life cycle of an athlete. Is I say, okay, this is the week we're going to do a diet break. We're going to take a week off from prep, raising calories back up to their maintenance at that point of prep, not the maintenance calories from when we started prep. Giving them a break on some cardio, and I've seen just immense benefits from this, to the point where some people will actually drop weight that week, if not maintain. Most people maintain, but eventually, sometimes we'll just have someone drop weight that week, and I'll extend the diet breaks. And then when time is shortened, we can focus on things like 1, 2, or even a third day refeed, where we pay attention to a daily check-in based on, bringing carbohydrates up a little bit. It might not be as aggressive as a refeed, but like you said, just that reprieve of bringing carbohydrates up, maybe bringing fats up, and they feel better. They might be more active. They have a little better workout sessions. They have a positive body image because, when you have some carbohydrates, your muscles look fuller. And so that's probably for me the most exciting part about coaching, because this is where I feel like it's a little bit of art. You have to understand where we're at in the process. You have to understand the psychology of the athlete. You have to have the experience and a little bit of confidence too. Telling someone to eat more when the goal is to get leaner was definitely intimidating at first.
And are you looking at 1 week per diet, or are you, what's your experience so far? How often is it beneficial for a client?
So I'll say this: one planned diet break about midway through the process. Now that might change based on how they respond. If they're getting leaner faster, we might push it sooner. If they're stalling, we might push a little farther. I find that they really benefit the leaner. They're actually closer to their stage weight, but also the benefit of being ready a little bit early is that now prep can kind of look like a diet break. You can actually bring the calories back up if you're ready ahead of time. So I'll be a little bit more aggressive in getting that if I feel like we're really close. And then you start paying attention to how they respond. I'll say check in after your consecutive day refeed. If you're down, I'll kind of, Jedi mind trick them into a diet break without telling them. Let's just add one more refeed. Weights down the next day are stable, one more, So sometimes, you can kind of get intimidated by like coach giving you a diet break and they think that it's a week off. This way I'll just pay attention to their daily changes and decide if we're going to continue that.
Have you done anything longer than a week? Typically.
Oh yeah, I've had people successfully. So one of my clients gave her a diet break and she dropped weight. So we did 4 consecutive weeks before we went back into a deficit.
So you're almost doing like a metabolic building phase midway through.
Yeah, and she was not a contest prep client. She was just someone that was interested in fat loss, and the benefits for her were, she just had more energy throughout the day. So I think she was probably a little bit more active, getting a little bit more from professional food. So we were just almost like a competitor would be. We were able to maintain or drop weight for those 4 weeks.
And Tyler, with you as an athlete, when I was working with you, you are one of these people that has a fast metabolism. So I know at some point, instead of just one higher calorie day as a weekly schedule, we would add a midweek higher day. And they may not be the same, but you're somebody that, even though we need a certain amount of days where we're losing body fat consecutively, we might need just one little bit of an increase just to create, again, a little bit more of an anabolic effect, or the anti-catabolic effect, and then maybe a larger one on the weekend. Have you done anything like that?
Yeah. So, like Paul said, he always tells them they have a diet break. I tend to not tell them. I don't like to, because in history, when I said, hey, we're going to try to take a break, but we're just going to do control and eat more food, some people think it's a vacation. They have certain expectations.
Start having some margaritas.
Yeah, not that excessively, but it's like a switch flips a little bit where they feel like they don't have to be as strict, and so I just naturally do it, increase food. They know they're increasing food, but they're like, why are we increasing food? I'm like, well, we're just trying to help your metabolism a little more, get you feeling good because you're just feeling really crappy lately. And it depends on the timeline where we're at, but I'll do that for a good few days to see how they respond, and then bring them back down. But I try not to do it too soon, at least a week minimum. But if I do it too soon, they might be like, "What's happening? Are we having any progress?" So I don't like to tell them initially, and plus their personality accepts it.
Well, I think because now diet breaks have kind of gotten into the culture of contest prep, it's kind of a term that people have heard now. So when I explain to someone like this year, like, this is the week we're going to do diet break, it helps them understand that we're going to push a little harder. We're going to push to get to that diet break in a good position. So yeah, for someone that's not familiar with what a diet break is or what the goal is, that diet
They
break,
soon will be. It's going to be
it's kind of like a cheat meal can go from being a release to eating disorder. Like the intended goal is there to just have like the social release and the tracking release. But people, I've heard horror stories of people going, well, my coach would give me a 2-hour window. That's cheat meal. They would
play for it.
They would literally start the timer when the food got to them and just go until they yes.
So we're going to go a little long on this video, but I think it's worth mentioning that there is some new research out that these higher calorie, higher carb days being extended over a 48-hour window, a 2-day phase, even though you might not be that much higher, it's just taking that amount of calories you want, spreading it out, can have a better effect hormonally, and even just feeling better through some extra training. So you started doing that with your clients, correct?
Yeah, I've actually been doing it for a few years, and it was explained to me by Eric Helms, basically like the history of anthropology. Thousands of years ago, if someone was starving and they had one big meal, that doesn't necessarily indicate that food is now readily available. However, if 2 days in a row, the human body is getting some more calories, that might indicate that, hey, things are getting better now. Let's kickstart these metabolic processes. So, it doesn't always correlate to actual really working, but I definitely noticed a benefit right away of taking someone from a single refeed to consecutive day refeed and just having the benefit of oftentimes dropping weight or at least being stable, and then from there they would start dropping weight. So yeah, it's something that I was fortunate again to get that information from someone with as much experience as Eric and start implementing it, and then not just dieting on a 7-day window, right? We tend to go, oh, what do we do with this week? Well, I might do 2 consecutive refeeds and do 6 days, 7 days, 8 days between them based on how the person feels, and then judge how they're responding until we need the next refeed. Likewise, if you get really lean, you might do 2 consecutive refeed days, 2 deficit days, 2 refeed days. So the body's kind of always dynamic in that process of dieting. I think that's where coaching experience and having resources like yourself help. What are some options that we could use?
That's a really good point. Thinking of every week as a unit in time is not always the best plan, because there are times when you may say we're going to go 2 weeks before we do any kind of refeed, right? So and you know it may be a 2-day refeed, but you don't even got that done out of So
I do like when I do a diet break, it's typically when they've been dieting for a really long time, where they have an excessive long prep, and they just won't be able to grind that much.
You look at like if someone's been making adjustments and they haven't been making progress. I look at that. I get some feedback, and I look at that as an opportunity to help them with that.
Or sometimes when they admit that they overate on the weekend a couple days in a row, and you see the trends go down, like that's a response that I didn't know that was going to happen. Now I can use that data. They didn't do it on purpose, but now that actually helps. So let's use that to our advantage.
all right, guys, that concludes week 6. So we're halfway done. One of the things I want to mention at this point is that